Good morning, all. So tonight, or this afternoon, whatever you want to say, Dell is running a test play of our game, Dark Age of Man. He has a couple of um, things he wants to do, a couple of rule changes we're looking at, and some rule clarifications. I have yet to read Dark Age of Man. Still, I've been away so long, I even forgot how to make the character. So I actually had to pull up our current doc and use the character creation to make sure I did my game correctly. Dell has not told us whether we need to make a player or character, but I decided I would go ahead and at least make a basic starting character using our rules. None of this has been changed or taken out yet. We're really testing a more we're really going to be testing getting back to the tighter math of the D12 dice as opposed to the D20, which I prefer. I think Dell is 100% right about the idea of it having greater effect, modifiers having a greater effect upon the sliding scale, so I'm loving that. But I went ahead and made, and the other thing he's doing, normally the game starts you in Dredgewater. You are ultimately native Englishmen or Unglenmen, and sea peoples or Vikings are ultimately a constant threat at this stage in our fantasy pseudo-historical Dark Ages. However, Dell said he wanted us to be actual Northmen or sea peoples on our raiding expedition. So this is going to be very, very cool. So I made a Viking, Ragnvald, Halfman, Bjornsson. Repute 3 is how all of our first level, our starting characters start. What that means is you get 3 points to spend in your attributes. To ultimately have a profession, which is something that may come out of the rule book. Dell and I've talked about it before. One of the great things about our game is you can invent the idea of any type of character, profession, etc. However, because we are couching it in England in the Dark Ages, it is important to give players some idea of what prestige means and what kind of things actually existed. Soldiers, priests, scholars, nobles, outlaws, and freemen. Well, I wanted to put 3 different points, and so I chose freeman, which means I have to put 3 points in 1 point in 3 different attributes. You have to follow these prerequisites to be these things for the game, so you got to watch that when you're starting. So I had originally had body 1, prestige 2, and then I realized, whoops, I need to make a freeman, so 1, 1, 1. And then, of course, these are derived statistics. So once you drop your points in here, and repute is literally your experience points. So as you do things in the game, etc., you earn repute. You get to spend that repute immediately upon your attributes, and they will max out. Very cool. And then, of course, we have so again, our game is very simple, but yet incredibly flexible. And, of course, you can have, throughout the history of your character, you can actually have damage to any of these things, right? So I could actually be a repute 7 character and lose 2 prestige in, let's say, some dastardly deed, and let's say I murder somebody I suffer in a way a wound. The GM decides, this is a catastrophic effect for your noble person, and you're now in a way on the run or something, whatever the case may be, and I may actually lose points to my prestige, which will not change my repute number, but it will negatively affect prestige. And then, of course, you can earn prestige back, etc. So we're actually going to we have damage to these things. So you can lose your mind, you can end up right. So we're ironing out all that math, especially now with the D12. We're going to have to rework some of this. And then these are derived stats. You use one of your attributes plus modifiers to get your health, your purse, your inventory. Health ultimately is life or death for you. Body can be affected, and it will affect your health score. Purse is your prestige. It's how much you're worth in the world. It's how much you can use to acquire items and things. You make purse checks, whether you're bartering or whether you actually have silver in your purse, etc. Purse becomes kind of a score that tells you what kind of the value of your character and how much your character can affect bartering or purchasing or having work done by a blacksmith, etc., etc. Inventory is what you're allowed to carry. That's based on your body and a modifier. And then, of course, that can be tweaked up. Mine is tweaked up because I'm a freeman. So freemen also get another +1 to inventory. So my score may look weird for those who understand the rules. The freeman actually gets another inventory slot. And then my combat is your body plus the weapon that you are using. So for instance, my combat score is +2 because I have a good axe. A good axe is an automatic +1 modifier. My body's a +1, so +2 for my combat. My backpack is my third item, and it is full, meaning it has all the things that come automatically in the backpack, right? The backpack in the rule book will have so many automatic items, like your water skin, your flint and tinder, your rope. So you're not buying all that stuff. It kind of comes in your backpack. And then I just did a brief write-up as to who I am. Now, again, I don't know if he's pre-made character for us. I just like to be ready to go, and I like to get into the mindset. So Ragnvald's father and uncles are renowned. Hence, that's where I get my prestige 1, is I'm well known as an offspring of renowned, older, successful Vikings. I'm 16 years old, which means this is basically my first Viking excursion. Viking just means go raiding. That's what Viking means. It means to go raiding. And usually in their culture, if you weren't on a raid by the time as a man, and you weren't a boy or a male, and you weren't on your raid pretty quick, you were known as, I think it's called a charcoal baby, which meant you were at home with at the hearth with mama. So 16 is pretty much when you better be going on a raid, right, or leading a raid, right? So at least that's my recollection of the. I've read a couple of books on Viking history and culture, but I may be misremembering those details totally. But my point is, that's the gist of Ragnvald's start. He's called Half-Man by his peers. However, he doesn't know, he's not certain why they call him that outside the fact that he's short. So it could be because he's short. It could also be because he is, in a way, it's a shot at him because I'm known because of my uncle and my father. So I'm half the man they are, or is it because I'm 5'6", or is it both? But Ragnvald is always wondering what they mean when they call him the half-man. He's got a little chip on his shoulder, maybe. Ragnvald carries a good quality axe that was gifted to him by his oldest uncle, Hulvark the Limbreaker Bjorn. This axe was looted from a past Viking raid, and it's been gifted to him for his first raid. He is dark-haired, 5'6" tall. He wears his hair shoulder-length loose, and he cannot yet grow a beard. So he's, maybe splotchy beard. His peers know him to be intense, impatient, and eager to prove himself. So that is my repute. That's my starting character, which is a repute 3, Freeman, technically. So that's kind of how that fits in there, and that's done. And then, of course, I literally had not looked at this in 10 months, so I had to pull up. And our game starts right out of the gate with a very short intro, the character creation, and then all of the stuff you need to create your character. And then your basically your profession, which you need to make sure you meet these prerequisites and make these modifiers. And then, of course, the equipment list. And then, of course, we get into how the game runs. So it's a very, very simple setup right now. All this would change based on book format, etc. But we're still editing. We're probably going to make a few changes, and we're going to clarify a few things in the rules. One of the things we realized was not readily clarified in the rules was damage to all of your was the damage that you could sustain to all of your attributes that could be temporary, permanent, right? And temporary change could easily be you're dishonored in the tavern, right? Somebody dishonors you, comes over and like Viking, perfect example in Viking. Some people can challenge you to a duel, so to speak, and you could lose that duel, which could be life or death, or you could ultimately refuse to fight the duel, and it would definitely be a negative effect upon your prestige among your peers. So there's a great example of how something could be temporary. The GM could say, okay, if you're not going to fight this duel for whatever your reasons are as a character, your prestige is going to drop to 0, and if you're at 0, maybe -1, and that would be, I would be stuck with -1 prestige among my village, maybe. So our game is very flexible that way. It gives people options. So anyway, thanks for watching. Everybody out there have a fantastic holiday. And then, of course, I think we're going to record the game or go live, and people can see what we do today. Thank you. Bye-bye.